Learning our Black Gemara. Today's daf is daf Ayin, first day of Chodesh El, and in the Mishnah we learned yesterday that when you sell a field, what's included or what's not included, and we said that if you have chashuva trees like a sycamore tree that was pruned, Sadana Shikma, or if you have what do you call a chruv, a tree that's murked, that was grafted already, you're grafting other branches to it, which means it's a very significant tree, it's not part of the sale. And the example that they're trying to give is if I sell you a field, I happen to own two fields and the boundary in between, and I sell you a field and you make a kinyan in the field and you say, I have in mind, I also want to be kind of the other field. You're not kind of, because I'm only selling you this field here. Just because there's another field abutting it, it's not included in the sale. Same thing here. This Sadin Hashikma and this Chruv Hamurkiv are so significant, it's considered a separate field. So the kinyan you make on this field doesn't automatically mean you're kind of the other field. So remember, these are two significant things that automatically are not included in the sale. We're up to the Gemara's question right now. Okay, so what happens if you add a clause? Now, we always said if you add a clause, there must be something to it. But sometimes you just talk too much. Or we had a concept yesterday that you're strengthening the star. Even though you don't have to, it's unnecessary verbiage, but nevertheless you put it in just to make your case stronger. In case you're thinking of going to disputing it, it's clear. So, says the Gemara here, 3 lines on top. The question, what happens? You're right. I'm selling you the field, and I'm adding, which I don't have to. I added in a clause that sycamore tree is not included, and that carob tree is not included. Now there were 10 carob trees there. There were 10 sycamore trees there. Now min hadin, none of them are included. But I just said that one is not included. What did I mean by that? Does that mean I'm saying, but everything else, I am including it, even though Pidin is not included? That's what I'm saying. Or I'm just saying it because I was foolish, because really none of the trees are included. The Rashbam adds a little spice to it. Not stam, I'm not talking about fools over here. Because all the Rishonim ask a question, what's Bechlal the Shaila here? And the Rashbam turns that into the Gemara's question. They all ask a question is that L'chayda we had before Rabbi Akiva, and the Chachamim say that, when you sell a property, according to Rabbi Akiva, moicha ba'ayin yofa moicha, you sell with a generous eye, and you don't keep the road. No, let's say I sold you the house and the courtyard, but the bar is not included. Moicha ba'ayin yofa moicha. If I want to be able to walk into my bar, I can't just trespass. I got to buy the rights from you. Says Rabbi Akiva. But if you wrote clearly chutz mebar, I added chutz mebar. I didn't have to, because anyway, it's not part of the sale. That means what I'm really saying is I want to retain also the road, the path to go there. That's why I added it in. So all of them asked. So this guy says chutz meshichma doesn't mean that what exactly Rabbi Akiva? He wanted to make sure that he has a way to get to the shikma. I'm selling you the whole field. How do I get to the sycamore tree? I need sycamore trees are chashiv because they cut them down for fire or for construction wood. Very good lumber. So maybe that's what chutz is. I mean, why are you thinking? So the Rashbam says that's exactly Mar's question. Did he mean that only that tree I'm holding back everything else you can have, or did he mean that tree I want to be able to walk to that tree? And that's what he added chutz. He's not saying, but all the other trees you can keep. Of course, I'm keeping all the trees. Says the Gemara, do we say that no, I'm giving you all the rest of the carrot trees? Or he's not cutting any of them at all? I'm going to answer back, you're not cutting any of the trees at all. Actually, that's a question. It says, he says, if he added that clause, except for that carrot tree, except for that sycamore tree, he is not cutting it. My love, he added that clause to tell you that tree is the only one that you're not cutting. I showed you the field, even though generally speaking they're not included. But in this case, I'm very nice, I'm generous, and here, take it. And again, the discussion comes up all the time. What about see how much he paid and you see whether they're included or not? So we already discussed it yesterday again, and we discussed it a few times before. And kakayis, or when it comes to property, he's prepared to pay extra, so we can't really tell. We don't say ain't that the money can give you any indication. Amalei says, no, what kind of dig is that? No. When he says it means he's not kind of any of the sycamore trees. And I'll prove it to you. The Ilu Amal, if I tell you, this guy owns 10 fields. The vendor owns 10 fields, and I'm selling you one field. But I wrote in the star, this field is yours and not that field. but there are 10 fields there. So does that mean the other 8 fields are included in the sale? But I only sold you one field. We only talked about one field. Chutz misad the plains. Ahi who the lekana hachiz kana. Well, you're going to tell me that he did what he meant, but all the other fields, of course not. El lekana. Why he wrote it? He wrote it. Achlami lekana. You're not kind. That's one version. Dikidamri says no. That is a dover haposhut that just because I highlighted one tree, you're not kind the rest of the tree, because the halacha says that they're a separate field and not included in the sale. This is the shayla. This is more interesting. Half of that, half of that carrot tree is mine. So all the other trees don't talk about. Of course, they're not included in the sale. But because I said half of this tree, so what am I saying? What about the other half? Maybe in this case, I'm saying the other half you can have. Let's share. Chutz mechatzi sadin plenty, except for half of that sadin. Now, shacharu vadi lekane. Oh, masha shayboy zechruv kani. Surely the other trees is not included in the sale, but maybe the other half of this particular tree is part of the sale. Maybe even the second half is not his. He wrote it. Okay, he wrote it. He's foolish. Didn't have to. But he didn't mean I'm giving you the rest, because the halacha says that nobody includes the carrot tree in the sale. Amalei loikani, he's not kind of the other half. Hey, so that's a question. It says another brayso. How interesting. Chutz mechatzit chruv pleni. If he said this case as well, that except for half of the chruv, chutz mechatzit sadin pleni. I'm selling you, except I'm keeping half. I'm selling you the field, but I want to have. I'm not including the sale. Half of the carob tree, half the sycamore tree. All the other trees are not included in the sale. Sounds like all the other whole trees are not included in the sale, but the other half tree is. That's what it sounds like. My lab but the other half of this tree is kind of. No, I feel nothing included. I'll prove it to you. They would have said, my field is sold to you. I have 12 fields. I'm selling you one field, and I'm selling you this field, but not half of the other field. Does that mean the other half of that field is sold? So we're not even talking about it. It's not part of the deal. The other half is kind of no. Now the Gemara is going to introduce a new thing which has nothing to do with our Gemara here at all. In fact, it has a little to do with Gemara we have in Nezer Neshech. But because we have on top of the page that Dayone Goyla, the Dayonim of Golas, which is Shmuel and Karna, and here they talk again, totally unrelated, we bring them down. We'll have at the end of the first page of Sanhedrin, very interesting, the last Amud there. Every time the Gemara says something, who are these people? Dayon the Goyla, Dayon the who are they all? So the Gemara has one page, like an index. It should have been the glossary of the whole Shas, because it tells you everywhere in Shas where it says this is Nuna, this is this and that, who they are. So otherwise, you go through Shas, you have no idea who these people were. Not for Rashi sometimes telling us. Okay, this is the idea. Bekitzer, if I lend you money, Reuben lends money to Shimon. Of course, Shimon cannot pay back with ribis, interest. But we want to encourage investors. You should invest for the poor person so that he can stand on his feet. We had Mer Chagiga. This is the highest kind of tzedakah. With a Russia is somebody who doesn't wait till the guy falls before he helps out. Putting somebody on his feet is the best kind of tzedakah. So we wanted to make it in a way that it should benefit the lender and benefit the borrower. The borrower benefits because he has money to work with, and benefits the lender that he can that he's going to make money. He's not going to lose. So we want to have a shared profit arrangement. The problem is shared profit, but if you're lending him the money, and that guy takes it. What's that lending the money? The guy takes full of price. If he loses the money, he has to reimburse you. If he invested in a business and it goes mechula, it goes bankrupt, the guy has to pay it back. So that's really interest. So any profit you make on that money is pure interest. So how? Because why are you getting that profit? Because I lent you the money. How do you get around that? So we do this. We call hetiriska. But the idea is that we make half as a loan and half is a pekad. The half as a loan means that, let's say Reuben gives $100 to Shimon to invest. $50 of that Shimon is a loan. I mean, Shimon is totally responsible for that $50. If he loses it, he has to pay back that money. The other $50 Reuben gives to him to hold, and any profits of that money is not interest, because if you lose that other $50, Reuben takes full responsibility. The lender, it's not a lender; he's a mafkid. And by pekadon on oinus, you're potter. You lose your potter like another pekadon. Shebechinu is potter. So over here, the profits from half, that 50, Reuben can take because it's not a loan. What do you mean not a loan? Because Reuben takes full responsibility. He takes all the risk. The profits of the other 50, he's not taking at all. He's not taking at all. So that's chetzi iska, chetzi milk. That's how it works. Chetzi pekod, chetzi. But there's another problem. So you get 50% of the profits, but he did all the work. So why are you working to you for nothing? Because you lent him the money. Isn't that itself ribis? So therefore, it can never be 50-50. Either it's 70. I'm picking odd numbers because it can be 51. Either it's 75-25. That means that the mafkid Ruven takes 75% of the achrais, 75% of the pekadon, 25% of his loan. That means the Shimon is only responsible for 25% if he loses the money. Then the profits can be 50-50. Why is the mafkid taking extra achrais? That's to pay you for all the work that you do. So I'm going to take more responsibility for another 25%. The other way is if it's 50-50 responsibility, then he doesn't get 50% of the profits, he gets 40%, 30%. Why am I getting less than 50% of the profits? That's what I'm paying you for the work that you did. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, having that in mind, let's go to the Gemara. Says the Gemara, Amra has a question. Interesting thing, Rabbi has a question, and he already has his own answer, as we'll see. Reuven gave Shimon a pekadon with a star. Now the general rule is if Reuven gives Shimon a pekadon, Shimon can give it back, and Shimon can say, "I gave it back to you." End of story. Even by a loan, if Reuven lends money to Shimon, and Shimon said, "I paid you back," over. If Reuven lent money with Eidim, and Shimon said, "I paid you back," Reuven has no case. He has the Mizrach Barayah. If Reuven lent with a star, and Reuven presents the star, "Hey, you owe me money," Shimon said, "I paid you back." I'll tell you, my boy. If you paid me back, why do I still have the star? Why do I still have the star? But by pekadon, if you gave a pekadon with Eidim, we'll have a machlekes or shuas there. Back with Eidim. But if I gave you with a star, and then you said l'chayda, you gave it back to me, l'chayda, I can say to you, shtarcha biyodi, my boy. If you gave me back the pekadon, then why do I still have the star that says that you owe me a pekadon? So l'chayda, you shouldn't be believed. That's Amnon's question. Hamafkir with Bishtar, but Amla said, pay back, Mao. What's the Shailach? It's clear cut. The Mafkid has a star that Shimon has his pekadon. So what do Shimon give it back? No. Maybe here you have a migui. Me, Amrin, and Dubi say migui is a migui. What's the migui? The boy Amanensu. What would be if Shimon would have said, I lost it, and he's a Shem Mechinim. Or an Oinus happened, a Shem Mesach and an Oinus happened. Who says, then it's his potters. Mehemen, true, which was true, we'll see later, but Hashtanami Mehemen, since he has a mig, if he would have said that, he would believe. So even though now he's saying, I gave it back to you, and the other guy has started, we should believe him. I do, Mom, let's talk about my boy. So what's the shail over here? The way that Rashbam learns, it seems the shail is, we had a machlekes regarding before, remember, Abaye and Rav, and then Rav changed his mind, and Abchizah, whether migli b'makam edim amrinun or loy amrinun. And the way that Rashbam learns between the lines, it sounds like that goof is a shaila. That goes with the shaila. You have Eidim that say he didn't give it back. I still have the star that you owe me. On the other hand, you have a migli, compelling migli. That if he could have said, if it's a liar, he could have said, I lost it. Now that he's saying I gave it back, we should believe it. And the shaila is which you believe. What's stronger? That's how the Rashbam seems to learn. Or more than that is, but the Rashbam that adds a little bit. Maybe the whole chakir and achreinim. How do we understand migli? Is the word migli? I say a taina. I could have said a better argument. Is the word, therefore you believe me what I say right now? Is that the word? So if I'm a liar, I would consider a better lie. So if I'm saying something, you believe me what I said right now, is that the pshat? Or is the pshat, you give me the credibility of what I could have said? Because such an obvious thing, you could have said a better lie, that's the credibility. If he would have said that I lost it, then your taina of what's the star doing in my hand is irrelevant. Of course the star is in your hand, but I lost it, or an oinus happened, I'm potter. So therefore, since he would have been believed and fully, and your counter argument has no place. So now that I say that I gave it back to you, we give me the credibility of the argument that I could have said, and your time therefore is irrelevant. Is that the pshat? Or the pshat of Miga is, okay, you could have lied, therefore he must be saying the truth now. But we have a problem. A bigger counter argument is, but the agent will say fakir against the Taina right now. And that goof is the Gemara Shaila. What is the idea of Migu? Okay. Traces another pshat. Traces doesn't like this whole Migu because the agent, he said it. So now that the halacha is that Migu and he learns, he thought that we just believe him, not so much because of Migu. We just believe him. We just believe him for what he says right now. Why does he still have the other guy? Because maybe the guy said he lost it and he didn't bother pushing for it. Or like Rashbam says, he knows that he can always say, yeah, if it ever comes to the guy, he knows the guy's a liar and he's pulling out a start. He could have said, well, I lost it. If you're a liar, I can also lie. So maybe he wasn't so worried that you still have the stuff. Anyway, Amalei, so the Paskin Mehem is believed. He believed. Freddie Mara, so Rabbi Amr Mas, the lame with my boy. So interesting. First, you have a question, and now you tell me that you're convinced of one side of your question. So, what was the question in the first place? You could have made an argument of it. Rabbi Amr says that Shtorch with my boy, that's the thing, and Rabbi Chizur says no, we believe him. Interesting way of the Gemara format here. Amalei, so Chizur said back, okay. So you're telling me that what? That he is not believed because against Edith. Well, the time may if he my boy, if he would have said Nensu, you couldn't have said my boy. So in other words, it's a very compelling migu. It sounds like Rav Chiz is saying, and therefore the argument before, we're giving the credibility of the argument that he could have said, and therefore has no relevance whatsoever. And maybe it's not so much a case of Migi Mokamedim, and this is between the lines there that Rashbam says, because maybe he didn't really care that you still had it, because you told, maybe the Mbafke said, I lost the start, and the Nifke gave it back to him anyway, thinking, what's the big deal? If he's going to has the chutzpah to pull the start out again tomorrow and ask for the card, I'll say it was stolen, it was lost, it was an onus, and I'm putted anyway. So I'm not worried. So it's not really against Aiden. Amalei. So now the Bamna says to him, if he Amalei Nensu, if he would have said Nensu Lav Shvuiba, he needs a Shvua. He understood Rav Chizah saying that when he said, I gave it back, he's believed, that's it, implicitly. You don't even have to swear. But L'chayda, he says, since if he would have said Nensu is a Shvua, it's no longer a Miga here. If he says Nensu, you would have to swear. If he says, I gave it back to you, I don't have to swear, because we believe him. So that's not a Miga. A Miga means there's no advantage in what you're saying now over what you could have said. But if there's an advantage, I don't have to swear. It doesn't prove I'm an honest person. Maybe if I can't, I'm a real liar here, and I don't want to swear false. So Rav Chizah said back, then you misunderstood me. Hachinami, my Neman. You know what when I said that he's believed when he said Achzarti, Neman Mishvur means he has to swear, and I gave it back to you. Says the Gemara, Leima, this machlekes. Now it's a machlekes. Of Rab Amr and Rab Chizah. Rab Chizah said that he's believed as Achzarti. Miguidi boyamenensu. Rab Amram says he's not believed because it's a migid book of Eidish Torcha beyond my boy. He's l'chayda machlekes Tanaim. Very interesting. The Gemara calls it Tanaim. In fact, it's a machlekes between Shmuel and Rabbi Miravasi, and the Gemara refers to them as Tanaim. Maybe because of their earlier Amoraim, the first generation Amoraim, so they're called like Tanaim compared to the later ones. Because the Gemara. Lema, let us say, the Hanit tonight. Time we learn. Starkis, Hayaisa. Okay, Reuben goes to the Yisaimim of Shimon, says the Yisayim of Shimon, your father owes him money. Your father owes him money. Dayani Goyle says, now, Starkis means it's half a loan and half a pekadon. We talked before about the Iska. Half is loan and half is pekadon. So the question is, now he has a star. The loan part, for sure, the Yisayim can't say the father would have been alive. Can he say, I paid you back? Then how come the lender still has the star? There's no miga, nothing here. Because you would not have paid it back unless you got the star back. But or he would have written a receipt or something. But regarding the half of pekadon is the question. Because remember, Rav Chizah says that the father could have said, the father said, I paid it back to you, he would believe, because he could have said Nensu on that part. And the shaili is, and we have a rule that we advocate on behalf of Yisayim, whatever the father could have said. So how much do the children have to pay? The 100%, including the pekadon part, or just the middle part? Says the Gemara, which is small kind of, they say that the malva, the mafket swears and collects all. In other words, that the pekadon is the pekadon is not believed. Even by pekadon, it's a miga makamedim. It's a miga makamedim. He's not believed, so the children got to pay the whole 100%. But Dayane, that's how the Gemara thinks right now. But Dayane Etzisrael, which is Rabbi Amir Abasi, they say nishba v'goyva machzor. You only can collect the loan part, but not the pekadon part, because we followed up Chizda when it comes to the pekadon. If the father would have been alive, he could have said Hachzarti, miga denensu. Why don't we just say the father could have said Nensu? Why do we say the father could have said Achzarti Migud and then got to come the whole people. Just say the father had been alive. He might have said, I lost it. And he would have been believed. And he's potter. So the Rishonim already say here in the famous base in Bava Basra as well that it's a milsud l'shkicha l'gaz barabon. It's very uncommon that you lose the money, and because it's so uncommon, even though today they say that if somebody opens a new business, what is it, over 50% fail in the first year. I guess in those days when somebody's mashkiya money in a business, they were successful. So to say an anasti is leishkicha. So we're not going to make this takana and say that on behalf of the children we're going to argue. We're making a takana to help the children out. That then because it doesn't happen. It's very rare. But exartiv, people give back all the time. That's what it is. The shaila is whether it was a star or not. So and go a step further. With the kuli amishes, you have to change one more thing. You have to add that this is a half a mil and half a pekan. How do we know that? All it says is star kis. So we need to use neherdoyis vart. And what's neherdoyis vart? He said, "Hi iska." This transaction here, pal mil with pal pekan. It's half and half. My laba hakamifki. My sava matzam leishtach. My boy says about they have no migu shtach. My boy, therefore you got to pay the whole amount. That's the yoni goyla. That's shmul lekana. Umar sava laminin. That we don't. We follow up chizah. So we see that the machlekes of chizah, but Amram is the machlekes between the yoni goyla and the yoni of the Yisrael. Says the Gemara, Lav Dafka. Maybe Kuliyam Yisrael Chizah they believed. And if the father would have stood here and he said Echzati, we would believe it. So how come Dayoni Gola says for the children, however, we're talking about the Yisayim here. Because we believe that the father would have instructed the Yisayim. The father would have said that, I gave it back. We cannot tie an answer because of leshkicha. What we tie narzativ. The father, before he died, at least all the last will and testament, would have told his children, that pecan that I had that I got, but everything else, I gave it back, and I never got the star back. And because the children were not told that, is that Yitaka didn't give it back. That's why. But in the father himself, if he would have stood there, there's no argument because everyone agrees that he believed narzativ migud and answer. The nasty. Look, Kuli Amizar Chiza. The party would have paid him. The father would have told the children. Almost said, no, it's not a time. You know why? Who said that was the thing in his mind? Maybe it happened suddenly, he was struck down. And maybe that and it happened so fast that he was thinking about other things and not about this particular pekudin. The other things in his mind right now. So no raya, the fact that he didn't tell his children. And I'll prove it to you from the following story. Rabbi once said the following two dinim, which seem to contradict each other. First, he says, I proved to you that our interpretation of this machlekes regarding children is right. Because what happened was that Rabbi said, right? If Reuben gave a Kodesh Shimon the star, and Shimon said, I paid it back, Nem is believed. Like Rab Chizda. Okay. Then he says, Nishba collects all of it. We just said we collect all of it means you don't hold like Rab Chizda. That also the Pekadin can collect. Tarti. How can you have these two din that are mutually contradictory? Unless the second din, of course, you believe the father would have been there, you would have believed. The problem is that the children, we say he would have told the children that I paid it back already. If he didn't, that means it's still outstanding. If he paid it and told them. Rabbi concludes that he only collects half because and also the Malachamavis might have struck him, and therefore we advocate on behalf of the children regarding the pekudin that maybe he gave it back. Mazut is like Dayoni, which sounds like the other way around. They say you got to pay the whole thing that the father would have told him. How can you argue with Rava? Rava said that you don't collect the money from the pekudin. The Dayoni Goyla. We learned the names fakert, and therefore I'm saying the same thing as Rava, which is that if the father would have said something, he should have said something. So sorry, the other way around. We said the father did. Sorry, he said Rava Paskin, not like Rava. Rava Paskin, not like Ravuna. Rava Paskin is that we say the father, what do you call it, did not have a chance to tell them because Malach Hamava struck him down. Who don't say, and therefore, if the father would have been here, he said Chazati would believe him. We say that in children. The Bafkid has to bring a raya. Fakert. Tomorrow.